Well, it's a thrill for Clayton DeClemente making this Olympic team. There are only 3 American men. The Americans did not qualify a relay team for these Olympic Games. Thus, they are allowed 3 men to skate individual. Clayton DeClemente from Poughkeepsie, New York. He has been a guy that had a little bit longer track through the sport, no pun intended, but as he said, I spoke to him in around Christmas time at the Oval, he said, I just feel like I've gotten progressively better every year. And his endurance has long been his strength.
He does get progressively better every year, and my favorite thing about Clayton DeClemente is his work ethic. He is well known. He is the one on the team who will not rest on his laurels. Even if it's an easy day, he will push the pace. His work ethic is unmatched, and his results are catching up.
Well, he's going to have to do it right here because this is a tough heat led by Stephen Dubois from Canada. World champion beat Donjanu by 4 1/1000ths in the World Championships last March.
And you'll notice how Stephen Dubois, he's in second place on your screen. He has 2 different boots on. Not only 2 different boots, but from 2 different makers. It's not like he's, oh man, and there's a big contact. We'll definitely get a review on that.
Dubois is down, and that's going to put a significant stamp on this. DeClemente and Yoshinaga now can just coast home as 1 and 2.
That's right, and you know, we say that word, you know, that short track, and this is what we mean by it. So that short track, Corey doesn't get the chance, but here's a wide open chance for Clayton DeClemente. It can be frustrating when you're not in it every day of the week, but it does all come out in the wash.
So you see that signaling in the top left there that there's an automatic video review coming. These 2 are going to cross 1 and 2. But Tracy of Great Britain and Dubois of Canada are both going to be hoping to see what comes out of this review.
And and so you see the yellow dot on the top left of your screen. So the officials in the back room are already reviewing that. Again, there's Stephen Dubois with those 2 different boots. And the point I was hoping to make earlier was that he takes care of his own equipment, which is rare in the sport to have the technical knowledge of how to manage your own boots and blades. He does that better than anyone I know on the World Tour circuit. Here we're seeing the race being reviewed by our head official. Stephen Dubois comes up the middle. There is some blade contact there, which is typically not penalty worthy, but that contact at the shoulders is penalty worthy. So they're trying to decide, did Niall Tracy need to step out to create space for the pass, or did Stephen Dubois need to finish that pass quicker to finish it no contest?
Final decision. No penalty for shared responsibility between number 4, Canada, and number 16, Great Britain.
Wow, no penalty. And that means basically Dubois is not going to make it. His time, he finished 3rd, but his time will not qualify.
Yes, that's a surprising result. I do agree with it because, you know, Stephen Dubois could have finished that pass, but, you know, Niall Tracy was very defensive. It's the Olympics. You're supposed to be defensive at the Olympics, and maybe Stephen Dubois just wasn't expecting that in an early round for there to be, you know, so much strategy already taking place.
Brandon Kim, Fairfax, Virginia, is a full-time student at Stanford University in Palo Alto, California, where the only ice comes out of vending machines. He does dry land training, would fly to the Oval in Utah on weekends when he could to train, would show up at meets on a Wednesday without having skated, and skate on Friday. He looked at me in the eye and said something I've never heard from an Olympic athlete before. He said, no one would say this is possible, that I'm on the Olympic team.
That's true. So what makes him so special is that he grew up in the sport, and actually Thomas Hong, who is well known in our speed skating community in the United States, competed in 2018 and has actually moved on. He's a full-time student now himself, but he's been a mentor for Brandon Kim. Even from a very young age, Thomas was already teaching Brandon the tricks of the sport, and Brandon has carried that legacy forward to this Olympics.
Well, this is a tough heat. Robert Kruber of Latvia and Sun Long of China, as well as Nowinski of Poland, are in this heat.
this is the hardest heat we've seen so far. All 4 of these athletes are strong internationally, and I'm happy to see Brandon Kim moving up front there. I do want him to push this pace a little bit, and there's a saying if you're in the front is that make them beat you. Be hard to pass, push the pace, break their legs, and that's what Brandon Kim's doing right now.
All right, 2 laps to go. Kim gets passed by Kruber. Now the racing ready going on. Somebody gets slid out. With the bell, Nowinski of Poland has taken the lead. Brandon Kim has fallen back, so he will cross 4th. But there are 2 different video reviews, 3 different video reviews, as there was a heat that exemplified the often used phrase, that was roller derby on ice.
Roller derby on ice. And it all happened all at once, which is typically how it happens in any sport. Brandon Kim entering the corner here. Oh, yes, he hits something, and we're not sure if that's a soft spot on the ice or potentially a dirty spot on the ice. A soft spot will change a skater's momentum, whereas a dirty spot will damage the blade. So something happens there. Coach runs right over, says, hey, give me your skates, which means we're gonna sharpen, deburr, check the rock, check the bend.
What's a dirty spot?
So let's say someone goes out in their tennis shoes to do some ice maintenance, leaves a speck of dirt on the ground. These blades are so fragile. If you run over 1 speck of dirt, it will strip the edge. So imagine your knife at home. Imagine your paring knife becomes a serrated knife. That's what happens when there's dirt on the ice.
Final decision, penalty, number 23, USA. Advancement, number 7, Latvia. And we have a shared responsibility between number 7, Latvia, and number 9, People's Republic of China.
Wow.
All right, so Brandon Kim's out, and Robert Kruber of Latvia, who crossed 3rd by those 2 1,000ths, is going to get through to the quarters.
And they're saying inside skater failure to give way. So what that means is that the officials wanted Brandon to back off of the pass. They don't feel as though he had completed the pass going into the corner, and it was his job to give way. He pushed it, he forced it, and it broke.
All right, so for the United States men in the heats of the 1,000, 1 skater benefiting from some penalties. That was Clayton DeClemente. He will advance to Thursday's quarterfinals, but Brandon Kim does not, as he is penalized in the final heat.